One thing I can't believe that I haven't covered yet is the trains and use of trains in Norwegian culture. So it's probably not surprising to any of you that we don't really use trains or public transport in America that much in general, right? And of course you could say, and you would be correct, that there's just train usage more in general in Europe than in America. But there's something really unique, in my opinion, about trains in Norwegian culture. So one thing I've covered before in regards to language is that Norway is so separated from different little districts into different little districts by the mountains and valleys that's one reason there's so many dialects. Is in the 1850s, you wouldn't easily be able to go over to the next mountain or the next valley and so the language kind of got isolated and we developed different dialects. Now, obviously, that there's tunnels through and under the mountains, travel's a lot easier, but still living in Norway made me understand the phrase "as the crow flies." I'd always heard that, like, oh, it's an hour away as the crow flies. Didn't understand it till I moved to Norway, where, like, as the crow flies, Trondheim and Oslo are not far away. But driving takes way longer than you would think if you calculated the rate per kilometer on a map because of those mountains and valleys even today. When you pair that with the snow and different weather that Norway can have, sometimes train is the most reliable way to get around. There are times where you just plain can't drive, or at least I wouldn't drive through the different mountains and stuff. And there's a saying, like, as regular as the trains tend to run pretty regularly without significant delays. Not to mention, we all know that Norway is beautiful and scenic, right? Tourists come all the time. If you've ever been on the Bergenbane as a not tourist, you are aware of how many tourists are on it. When I was trying to price tourism here before we moved, the train ride, Norway in a nutshell, is what you're told by everyone to do. It's one of those countries you come to for the scenery. And I think those of us who live here can often take for granted that we can take the train and just get the same scenery on a business commute if we need. I mean, look at this view. Can't beat it. And finally, I love that on a train, even though it might take a little bit longer than a flight within Norway, for me as a working mom, it makes me feel like my trip is starting a little bit earlier and I actually get that longer period of time to ease myself in to being in relax mode. You guys, if you're a mom, you probably understand you can't just like relax on cue. And so the train trip gives me that time, especially even if you're traveling with kids. Some of the trains have a play area. And like one time my daughter spent the entire 7 hours playing there. It was like I had a babysitter. It was amazing. I tell you, this thing kept my kid interested for 7 hours because usually there's another kid here. But as to exactly what I do to kind of relax and kick off my travels when I'm on the train, I'm going to actually make another video of that because the trains go everywhere in Norway. So that's the other thing. There's so many little towns still in Norway because of those hills and valleys that sometimes trains is the best and or only way to get there. You can't fly directly to some of these locations. So the coverage is great, the reliability is great, and in my opinion, it's so relaxing. The scenery is beautiful. I used to meditate and I would imagine that I was just on a rocking train. I think it's nice to sleep. But I'll get into a little bit more of like what the actual travel experience is like in a different video. And how could I forget that it's green? I mean, it's way greener than cars. Like, it's great for the environment, so you can feel good about it.